Welcome to Call of the Pen, episode 3. And we want to start this off by asking Steve how Emmy's golf tournament went. Were you a good caddy or what?
Good caddy, that's questionable. But we had a good time for sure. She held her own. She's never played a actual round against people before, so she was trying to pretend like she wasn't nervous. But it was good. It's like if you're not nervous, then you don't care. So she did. She
You were
held her
probably
own. She did a good job.
puking.
No, I was excited. It was also 150 degrees out here. It was tough. But it was only 6 holes. So she shot
That's
like a
nice.
43. Her double max par, so 48 would have been her highest, but she came in 6th place out of 11 kids and second amongst the girls. So I was happy for her. It was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sick.
I saw the picture of you. Definitely looked like the minivan dad driving the kids to the golf course with the bucket hat and probably the sunscreen on the nose.
Oh yeah, totally. Sunscreen on the nose. If I would totally rock a minivan, but you know what I drive. I had to give you a step stool to step into my truck.
You did, yeah. I would definitely need that now with my foot.
I gotta see if we can dig up a picture of that. I still have it somewhere.
Well, I think I still have that picture. We'll have to get that. That was hilarious. Pulling up to your house to borrow your truck, and there's a nice little kid's baby step stool to get into your truck. That was
Minnie Mouse step stool.
typical Steve.
That thing
So I
sat out
see
there for like a week.
you went to the game last night.
I did. Big Panthers fan now. Just started.
Yeah, that's how I was when the Knights came 18. I was like, oh, I'm huge hockey fan now. Huge hockey fan now.
No,
I have no
I've
idea about
started
hockey,
following.
but now it's great for the city.
Oh, totally. And their first year, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, that's one reason to root for them. I mean, they just caught fire right away. But I've been going to Panthers games for the last, I don't know, since 2014. They used to hook us up when I was with the Marlins, and I didn't have strong roots with the Bruins, being from New England. So I had to dump one team out of the Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and obviously Red Sox. I don't care about them anymore, but it had to be the Bruins because the Panthers just hooked us up all the time. So
Tell me about that chain behind you.
yeah, so we brought the girls to their first game back in November, and I told the girls, "Hey, get whatever you want in the team store. Dad's getting it. I want this to be special for them." And so Avery, without a hesitation, saw the chain, walked right over. Was like, "I want this." So she just came out with a Flavor Flav chain, just to walk around the stadium, and it was beautiful.
If our teams make it to the Stanley Cup, we're gonna have to come up with some bet. Well, one of us have to fly out to each other's city and go watch the game.
Yeah, I would maybe the viewers have an idea of what we can
maybe
do.
the viewers.
We typically play golf against each other, but this guy has a broken ankle, so I'd be at a distinct advantage. We'll
I
figure
did get
something out.
cleared to walk. I got cleared to walk in a boot yesterday, though, so we're making progress.
There we go. So you can
I
hold
could probably
your own
beat you
around
with one leg.
a couple of years ago, probably. I don't know. Actually, you're a
Oh, yeah,
sneaky
sorry,
good
you're a
athlete.
2 now.
No. I still struggle. I'm coming back to reality, but you're a sneaky good athlete. I think you could hold your own.
Best athlete you've ever seen. What are you talking about?
Debatable. All
right, so let's start this off. So we had a few questions, or I want to ask you a few questions. You lived in Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
And then how did you meet Cressy, by the way? Eric Cressy, if anyone doesn't know, is probably the top baseball trainer in the world. But
Yeah.
Steve's known him since he was straggly.
2009.
How did you meet Cressy and
Still straggly.
tell me how that...
Yeah, that's a good question. I was training on my own, basically doing the Marlins workout, and back then they just kind of, they're okay, but I didn't feel like they were taking me to where I needed to be, the next level. And there wasn't up in Massachusetts, baseball isn't a huge sport. Actually, hockey is, and so there wasn't many gyms around that had trainers that had a baseball background. And my college coach actually listened and read a lot of Cressy stuff down in Tennessee, and he's like, "Hey, you need to check out this Cressy guy. I don't know where he is. I know he's in Massachusetts somewhere." So I looked it up, and it's like an hour and a half away. And I was like, man, I don't know. So I started doing my own digging, And I was like, you know what? Like maybe I'll go over there and see what this assessment stuff's all about. I mean, this is like revolutionary back then, right? Getting an
Yeah.
assessment, a program, a personalized program. And I go check it out. So I showed up in like, I don't know, and one shorts and, beat up t-shirt, not thinking I was going to do anything. And I walked out of there like barely able to walk. Like I was so sore. Like I didn't know I was going to be working out that day or what it was entailing. And
Yeah,
I
that's
never
what he
looked back.
does. He did that to me. First time I met him, I fly to Florida. I'm like, oh, I'll just go. We're gonna get assessed. I'll probably work out tomorrow. Just crushed me that day.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy, dude, is like the year before I was lifting as heavy as my lanky body would allow me to, like terrible form, like putting up as much weight as I could. And I show up at that place and he watches your movement and stuff like that and realizes that I'm not a great athlete when it comes to squats
Yeah,
and everything. And
he makes you feel bad real fast.
yeah, so he's like, all right, well, we're gonna put less weight on here, and I want you to, squat down to this with his forearm, knees out, and then put your chin up, keep your chin tucked, like all this stuff. And next thing I know, I'm like grinding, doing half the weight, because I'm actually doing it the correct way. I'm like, oh, maybe we're onto
Right.
something here. So it was just working areas of my body at the time that I never even considered.
So one thing I always like, you had to drive an hour and a half. Like we could barely get people to drive 20 minutes to go. They're like, oh, it's too far. We're too busy. What I mean, how and why did you think you're going to drive 3 hours at 4 times a week? And at what point did you realize, like, besides the assessment, that okay, I'm going to do this. I'm all in. And then you probably had to do it all year, every year until he moved to Florida, and then you moved to Florida.
Yeah.
But why did you decide like this is it?
Um. Well, I wanted to invest in my career. I realized this is probably just a rare opportunity to be able to pitch in even in the minor leagues, and I wanted to invest in my career and give myself the best chance to make it to the big leagues. And I knew after going to this place and his resume basically is he basically revolutionized baseball specific training. And so when I went and saw what was going on over there, I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to get better, and I wanted to get stronger. And so I realized that it was just a commitment that I was going to have to make. Driving an hour and a half down and then an hour and a half back, so 3 hours of travel was no big deal when I was motivated to, have an opportunity to pitch in the big leagues and be at the best place to do it. The other thing, which made it a little bit easier, is up in Massachusetts. I mean, a lot of times we're either snowed in or it's freezing cold. Can't really throw outside. There's always someone to throw with indoors up there. And if there wasn't, we just wear it and just throw outside in the parking lot. But all my buddies were out of college, not playing baseball anymore and having real jobs. So it's either I sit around and
Yeah.
play video games and waste my time, or I can get after it. So for me, it was an easy commitment to drive out there, down the Hudson, Massachusetts, and back 3 to 4 times a week.
And you weren't a bonus baby, so it's not cheap. The gas ain't cheap, which we all know. I mean, especially at that time of 2009, I think the country's falling apart anyways. But I think we were both definitely broke at our times in our lives. So not only are you paying for fees, because Cressy's not cheap, so obviously you're investing in yourself, and then you're paying for the gas. So, I mean, it's like a lesson in life anyways. Just people need to realize, just stop trying to get rich so fast. Just invest into yourself. Get a little sacrifice. It's going to cost some money, but if you put the time in, I mean, not everyone's going to make 40-something million dollars, but obviously your investment into yourself paid off, don't you? I mean, I think some people just need to realize that in life. Like, you're not always going to get the results so fast, but if you just keep investing in the long run, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but you definitely know what's going to happen if you don't invest in yourself.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. If you're not putting in the work and you're just not giving yourself opportunity. There's very few people, and I'm sure you've seen it, that barely like, do any work and they're pitching in the big leagues. Those guys are just like naturally just a gift from God. They just have it. The rest of us have to put in the work to do it. Yeah, I throw sidearm or throw a deception, but I didn't always throw hard. It wasn't until college that I started throwing hard because I was pushed to the max like every single day. I strongly believe that's what got me my velocity and was able to take me to the next level.
And then you went to a D2, correct?
Mm-hmm. And you were a JUCO.
So, and I was a JUCO. So I think, well, what do you think? What's the misperception on people not always wanting to go to JUCO? Like, I have my own opinion, and I'll wait for you to answer on JUCO, D2, D1. Why does everyone think they got to go D1, and or what's wrong with people taking the D2 route? I mean, a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in there, but a lot of them always think they need to go D1, or the guys in JUCO and D2 get missed out on. Like, what is it? When you went to D2, did you have any D1 offers, first of all?
Not really. University of Vermont was interested, and then the next year their baseball program was shut down.
Yeah,
So,
a solid offer then.
yeah, exactly. Boston College was like, oh, maybe, but you have to go to prep school. I'm like, I ain't doing that. So I was just so underdeveloped. But that leads into the answer I have for you. Well, first of all, I think that there's a whole list of reasons why I think kids think they need to go D1. Mostly their parents. They want to look good. Their kid goes to Florida State, and they can brag about it. Other things are unrealistic expectations, right? Like, yeah, you may be able to make it to a massive, D1 school, but you're not going to get the playing time because they just recruited, 10 other kids also that you're going to be competing with. So not necessarily. So for me, like, I just wanted to go down south. Being in Massachusetts, we played 20-game like high school seasons, dude. Like, it was ridiculous, but that's what we got. It's cold. And so I wanted to go down south because I wanted to be able to play pretty much year-round baseball. I loved it, and hopefully get a scholarship to help pay my way through. And so when long story short, when Carson Newman came up, school down south, checked the box, liberal arts school. I was going to be a PE teacher. That was my degree. You imagine? And then my bucket hat.
Yeah, I could totally see that with the whistle.
Yeah, and I felt like I was at like a D2 level out of high school. I felt like I could compete at that level. D1, I wasn't really sure. I threw like 84 miles an hour tops, maybe, on a good day. So, I mean, I was just looking for a place that I knew I could probably play and get better and also get my education. And so D2 was my route. What about you?
Yeah, that's what I think. Well, that's my opinion on the whole thing. I always think people ask, well, what do you think I should do? Should I go play here, or do I need to go to this university? Or independent, let's just say independent ball or whatever. I just think as long as you just have a chance to keep playing, to improve, it doesn't matter at that age. I mean, if you're not a first rounder or a huge top prospect, you need to go play somewhere.
Yep.
Or at least keep getting better. So I think for me, like, I went to Pasadena City College, where at the time no one knew it was just a small junior college in California. But you played against really good teams in LA and like Southern California. But I had a chance to pitch every week. I wasn't going to get that if I would have went to USC or anything. So at least I had a chance to consistently improve, where I could at least catch up to everyone. I can get strong. I probably wasn't strong. I think I weighed $145, $150 at the time, and I threw like 88 miles an hour. But by the time I left there, I was throwing, 93, 94. And then I had an opportunity to go to USC, but then I transferred to Dixie State, which is another junior college in Utah, which they gave scholarships. That helped, obviously. And then
that's a really good baseball school, isn't it? Or
yeah,
baseball program.
At the time, they were a JUCO. Now they're a D1 now. They've grown a lot.
Oh, wow.
But at the time, it was a top JUCO in the country. And once again, you're going there playing top talent, and I consistently get to go improve, and people get to see me. As long as you get to, like I always say, if you're good, they'll find you, I think. I mean, look at us. We weren't top. I mean, I was a 40th round draft pick. What round were you?
A fifth.
Oh, my bad. Either way. Okay,
Yeah.
I was a 40th round. But if you're good, they'll find you. They
Right.
found you at a small D2 and wherever, and you got to go in the fifth round. And you played 10-plus years in the big leagues. Like,
Yeah.
what a great scout that was.
No, for sure. And I say fifth and laugh because, like, I wasn't expecting to get drafted. Like I said, I was just looking for a place to play, and then all of a sudden things take off. And dude, you're so right. Like, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter where you're playing, they're going to find you. And I think some of the smaller schools get a knock. You're still like D2, JUCO. You're playing at a really good, like, high level still. You know what I mean? Like,
Extremely.
But the year before I got to Carson Newman, and I know this is probably a fluke, they beat University of Tennessee, who was like sixth in the nation, and
It's
beat
not a fluke. A win's a win. Come on, man.
That's true. And so, I mean, it's not like you're playing coach pitch because it's a D2 or D3 school or something. It's still great competition, but it's giving you more of an opportunity, like you said, to compete and get better. Because unless you're competing, there's just no way you can get better at your craft. So might as well,
No.
be able to get out there every day. So
And I think more it's a status thing now, like you said, like Johnny's dad wants to say that his kid goes to it's USC or something.
yeah,
And then, but you're going to go there and you're not going to play. If they're going to bring 10 just like you, and they're bringing another 20 that's even better than you.
yep,
And it's just more like a status of, oh, I'm on the prospect list. Like the prospect list means nothing,
yep, yep. And then
especially like in the minor leagues. I never cracked any prospect list.
I don't think I did either. Honestly, I was just coasting through. It's crazy.
Dude, but when I saw you in AAA, I'm like, who is this guy and why is he here?
So I started finally getting a feel for. I was so raw though when I first got drafted. I had no slider. I honestly I threw sinker changeup. That's it, and got away with it in short season A ball, which no longer exists. It's such a bummer. And then the next year I played in Greensboro. Have you ever played there?
No.
Awesome ballpark, but it is like a wiffle ball field, dude. It is tiny. And so I got humbled fast. Like I tried to learn a slider there, didn't have it, and oh, it's weird. Like all these guys at low A can hit a fastball just fine. So they just teed off on me. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I got destroyed that year. I failed miserably multiple times. And that offseason I went in with a goal in mind, like not, give myself the best opportunity to not let that happen again. And so worked on a slider, learned a slider grip in instructs after that season because I was so bad. And that was the slider I used for the rest of my career, the spike slider. So it was awesome. I love.
Really? You threw a spike slider from that angle?
Yeah. Yep. Dig the pad of my finger in, around the horseshoe and just let it rip. Had four seam spin on it when it was good.
Tough to do.
Here's,
Was there ever when you got to the big leagues? Was there ever a time where a guy just turned on something, or let's say hit your slider, and you're like, that doesn't happen at any other level, and you had to adjust?
Well, yeah, hanging sliders. I mean,
Yeah.
other than that, like there's yes, because when I first got called up, I was a sinker in, slider away only pitcher. That was it. And so I think it was John Buck and Logan Morrison talked to them after a live VP one day. We were like, looking, it's working now. Or look, it's working now, but guys are going to make an adjustment on it and it's going to get hit. So what we should do is learn a backdoor slider. And I want you to throw four seams up and into lefties every now and again. And so we worked on that all spring of 2012 and it ended up being my bread and butter, man. Lefties, I started backdoor like pretty much all the time because I always could steal a free strike if I land it. And then after that, I could kind of do whatever I wanted. I can mix and match everywhere. So, and as your career goes on, like you just constantly have to make adjustments because your stuff will get hit around a little. So, what about you? What was your pitch that you're like, gotta change it up?
For 2010, like I gave one run in like 25 innings of Double A, like absolutely dominating, and it was just mostly just sinkers, like just dominating everyone with my sinker. It was like both sides of the plate. 95, 96. I don't know how I was throwing this hard. Like it came out of nowhere. And then I got the AAA and I dominated. And then my third outing, we're in San Francisco and Pat Burrow's up. And I threw it, I think it was like 93 sinker in off the plate, which I thought it was in off the plate. And he just launched it. And I mean, launched it into the seats. And I'm like, no one has ever just turned. I mean, normally you hit a foul. Like, one, how do you keep it fair? And you just turned on, because back then 93, 94 was extremely hard.
Yeah, it was gas.
It was firm.
Yep.
So then I was just like, I was mind blown. I just learned that at that time, there is no strike to strike in the big leagues. It was make it look like kind of a strike, but it has to end up ball. So I just started to adjust right away from there against righties because, man, that made me feel bad. It was especially in San Francisco. One, you're warming up. They're already yelling at you, making those whoop, woo. Yeah. Like I'm already rattled.
The he's a bum chant. What's the deal with Kinsler?
Yeah.
He's a bum. It's great.
Yeah, and then they told me to like stop throwing from my knees because I was so short. So they're making fun of how short I was, and it was just a mess. And then I gave up a bomb. Like I come in, face Posey, hits a double off the right center wall, and then Pat Burrow hits a bomb. It was just everything was moving so fast.
Oh man, that place will expose you so fast. Like it got so loud there during that time period when they were like really good.
Yeah,
it was just, and they were sitting.
So
it's almost
loud.
like because the stadium's so tall, they're like sitting right on top of you too. So when they get some momentum rolling, you can just feel the energy. You're like, Like we gotta we gotta find a way to silence this.
Especially when you're warming up like in the middle of an inning, trying to warm up fast. And it's on the field, and you're like, you're scared. It's always the first throw where you don't know where it's going to go. You're throwing the ground and throw it all the way under the field.
True.
So I always just like lollipopped it.
Yep, me too. My first one, I gave myself one lollipop throw. I don't know if you remember seeing me warming up. I just toss it in, and after that, no more yip throws. That's it. You're just gonna let it fly, whatever happens. You can be soft for one throw.
That and Wrigley too, but those were tough fields to warm up on. But San Francisco that whole side of the stadium would be into talking crap to you while you're trying to warm up.
I will say this though, in places like that, like I loved pitching in the most hostile environments. It was the best because, and especially you could relate to this as a closer. I always liked it more on the road when you'd close out a game and they were just in your face. It sounds like the place is just coming down here. All of a sudden, you can hear a pin drop. Like their team
crickets.
You guys just shut them down, and it's like, let's go. Oh man, it gives me goosebumps thinking about that. Yep.
Those are the moments I miss. Some things you miss, but like coming into hostile environments, coming on the road, like closing in on a road or tie game on the road. Tie game on the road at the bottom of the ninth is tough. Like that is a tough situation.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, hey, we've talked about.
You don't have if you're closing, you give up a solo shot. Okay, we're tied. But man, if you give, when you're coming in tied on the road, and you give one little mistake. Oh gosh,
the whole world's coming down here.
Walk-offs are the worst. You just want to go cry and no one cares.
And just do not look at social media for a day. Only.
Oh, thank God. That's one thing how I survived. I think I did not have a Twitter or social media for all those years. Like I did not want to be on there, especially when I got traded to the Cubs. Like, oh man, that was the worst.
Yeah,
I gave up so many walk-offs.
I don't remember that. I don't remember you giving up walk-offs.
Oh, Adam Frazier in Pittsburgh, walk off 3-0, swings 3-0. We go middle in heater walk off, and that was when we were in a big hunt. And then the next year they walked me off again in Pittsburgh. I threw a 3-2 changeup to I don't know the 30th guy on the bench. I don't know why. I think I just came off the IL and I had no feel for anything.
Any tattoo?
And I remember talking to Theo at the end of the year, and he's like, "I got to ask a question." I was like, "What's up?" Why'd you throw a 3-2 changeup in Pittsburgh in that save situation? I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
That's why we weren't invited back to the Cubs. Decisions like that.
That's why I didn't come back. I walked in the winning run to lose a game in the playoff race.
But apart from that, I think it's important. So, I mean, I think everything we just talked about with like work ethic, picking and choosing what school for young guys, this is what I wanted this episode to kind of focus on. I wanted to piggyback off some of your experience. Like, you played parts of 12 seasons in the show. So
yeah.
What was it that you did day in and day out that allowed you to be consistent on the mound? I think it's just, we could talk about this for days, and we'll probably talk about this down the road, but I want to hear right now some of your thoughts on that.
Well, when I first got called up, Trevor Hoffman was there. So I was told Eddie Guardado, I knew from when I was a kid, he always told me to watch the older guys when you get up there, see what they do. So I watched Trevor Hoffman. I was there for I got September call. So I got to watch Trevor Hoffman for his last month in the big leagues. And this guy's routine was amazing. He was still, even though he knew he probably wasn't going to pitch anymore, because my first day in the big leagues, he got a 600 save. And I was like, oh my God, the big leagues are amazing. Every day is like this. It's a party. And then, but he still, he had his routine was so amazing. We had to run 2 miles. Everyone, you had to take your shirt off. If you run with Trevor Hoffman, everyone has to run with their shirt off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It didn't matter how cold it was either. But he'd show up, he'd go out, he'd do his running, and then he would do his throwing, and then he'd do the hot and cold tubs. And he would preach how hot and cold tubs is what saved him. He saved him for his whole career, and he did it every day. And then he would go do his massage, and he would come out in the 5th or 6th inning, and then he would stretch more. And it was constant preparing for this outing that he did.
They would potentially
all day,
pitch.
every day.
You didn't even know if he's going in. He's doing it anyways.
Right.
Yep.
And he even got to the point he knew he wasn't going to pitch anymore because he got 600, and he basically said, "I'm done." And Axford was taking over the job anyways. But he still, just to show to be a great teammate and show the young kids what to do, he still did it every day.
That's awesome.
No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it probably took me 3 or 4 years to find out, because when you're young, you think I'm just going to show up, I'll roll on a foam roller for a second, I'll go out there and do our eye wash, stretch, and run, and
Yeah.
then play catch, get ready for a big league game, and I'll throw hard. But I think as injuries started to happen, and one injuries really made me realize I need to prepare better, and don't be scared to go in the training room, because when you're young, you never want to go in the training room. They're going to run you out of there real
Yep.
fast.
I had this conversation
And
yesterday.
then,
I
what's
had this
that?
conversation yesterday. My first 4.5 years, I was
Oh,
telling a
yeah.
younger guy with the Marlins, like, I didn't step foot in there. The veterans would either kick me out, or the training staff was like, "What, your arm sore? Beat it." you know?
Yeah, and my elbow was fractured, and no one really knew it. They just thought it was tricep tendonitis, and I was just getting ran out of there left and right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and then next thing you know, I have a screw put in my elbow 3 months later.
Wow.
So I kind of learned, like, someone says they're hurt, they're probably hurt.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
but anyways, so I remember 2013, I gave up a 3-run bomb. We were in Washington on 4th of July. And I just kind of knew I did not prepare well that day. I just knew I let the team down, and I just was so mad. So from that day on, I told myself I will never be not prepared for a game or an outing, no matter what. I'll never be caught off guard. So I think from there, I just started to stay prepared. Like, I was diligent on my preparation when I showed up to the field, or when I woke up. Like, I was, everything leads up to that outing. Like I said, Trevor Hoffman did. So when I woke up, what I ate that morning, and whatever I did before I went to the field, like, I was just slowly preparing for that moment. And when I got to the field, I knew exactly what to go do to get my body ready. And then mentally, I think if you're slowly preparing all day, every day, you're just, now when the game starts, now you just do what you've been preparing for all day, right? Like, there is no thinking. I just go
Yeah.
react.
Let it happen.
I
Yep.
think so. And then when I had another injury in 14, so now my preparation has to get even longer. Now I got to learn, because I had to learn about my ankles and my feet, because my knee tore. So now, it got to the point where, you saw it take me an hour and a half to go into the weight room and do everything, just to go out for me and you to just go play more fetch than catch. But that's what it took, and I had a ton of success when I did it, because I think mentally I felt better. I didn't feel unprepared for each outing, and if I didn't do it, I learned I didn't feel anxiety, because sometimes when you're young, if you're on a scoreless streak, I got to do this today, I got to do this because that's working. I can't leave that out, and the anxiety would build up.
Yep.
And I didn't rely on that as much. I think if they caught me off guard, it's okay, because I prepared all day for the situation anyways.
Yep.
But I think what held me back a little bit, I just couldn't stay healthy. I did what I could. I got as much as I could out of my body, but unfortunately, like, some surgeries just cost me some time. I really wish that I knew when I was younger how to take care of myself better, because I took my 32 to 36 years were so much better than my 26 to 31.
Yeah, it's wild. Yep. And I wonder what, like,
But for you pitched over 700 games, which is wild. How did you think you stayed so consistent and healthy?
Honestly, it's a pretty similar story. Like, I started developing some sort of routine in the minor leagues, but it wasn't very extensive. And especially before I went to Cressy's, like, I had no idea how to properly warm up. I just do like boxer jumps and stuff, and that I learned from like P90X. Remember that thing? Those DVD videos? I'm like, oh man, this gets my blood flowing after I drink a Red Bull. So
many people do that.
yeah. But when I first got called up, same thing, man. Like, I didn't have Trevor Hoffman necessarily, but we had this guy, Brian Sanchez. Just no one really heard of him, probably reliever, and he was super solid. His stuff didn't overwhelm you. He just had solid stuff, and he always got the job done. And he was always prepared, and so I'd watch him like a hawk. Like, my first year in 2011, guys thought I was a mute because I didn't say a word. I just watched. I just wanted to learn. You know what I mean? I never had spring training, like big league spring training prior to that, and so I'm watching these guys, and I'm watching what they do every day. Like, fifth inning rolls around, and they're getting up, moving around. I'm still sitting in my chair, like, watching them. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do something, And
Drinking a Red Bull, drinking all the Red Bull.
Sipping a Red Bull. And next thing I know, like, I got into a really good role, but it's just, by fate, I just didn't really have any work ethic in terms of my preparation. I started getting hit around. And so my pitching coach, I think Ryan Zimmerman, hit a ball oppo off the wall on me. And my pitching coach is like, "You don't ever watch video, do you?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Where you threw the ball is his just nitro zone. You cannot go there. Like, for now on, I want you to watch guys that throw like you and how they attack hitters. So if you come find me, I'll show you how to do it." So step one, like, all right. So they showed me, like, I was watching Sergio Romo, I was watching Pat Neshek, like all these other guys, O'Day, and Joe Smith. Those are like my main guys.
Nice.
And so I'd watch them for like, a long time, every start of every season or series, excuse me. And then Sanchez is like, how do you, I ask him questions like, how do you remain so consistent? It's like, I do the same preparation every day. Like, you make sure your routine is your way of life. That's where I started even eating PB&Js, every single day. It wasn't a superstition because I don't want to launch into another story due to time, but I got caught in the bathroom on the toilet. The phone rings. "You're in the game." 2 outs. I'm like freaking out. Like,
Oh, that's the worst.
worst nightmare for a reliever. Like, for now on, I ain't eating that stuff. I'm eating the same thing every day: PB&J, granola, and yogurt. Because I knew my stomach felt good after that. So that was part of my routine, what I ate before the game. Then all of a sudden I started just picking up on little things that I knew got me ready and just made that part of my routine. I carried that on from basically 2011, end of 2011 through my whole career, the same exact routine. And I always encourage the younger guys to do the same thing because I just wanted them to be able to have the opportunity to stay in the big leagues a long time. And I feel like the best way to do that is the best way to give yourself that chance is to have this consistent routine every day, because as you feel like garbage a lot of the times as a reliever. You're just grinding, but you got to deal with it. And so maybe it's a placebo effect or something, but when you go through your routine, at the end of the day, you feel better, even though your stuff may not be the best. And if you happen to give it up, like, look, I did everything I possibly could that day. I can hang my hat on that. And
Right.
now it's back just to the next outing. Forget it. Let's go. And I don't know. I guess what made us consistent is more times than not, we did throw well. We're not dwelling on the negatives, but a very big portion of that was due to our mindset in terms of our preparation.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do on, let's say, younger kids when I watch them. I mean, everyone is in a great mood and everyone do all their routines is when they're throwing well and dominating. I wanted to see. I could not wait. If a kid gave it, I mean, I wasn't rooting for anyone to give it
Right.
up, but if they gave it up, I wanted to be the first one in the clubhouse the next day. 'Cause I could not wait to see how this kid was going to act. Was he still going to show up when he was doing his thing? Same time, was he still going to do it? And if he didn't do it, I knew he wasn't going to be cut out to stay here, or you're going to have to pull him aside because you're not going to last, dude. Like, if you can show up and talk crap to everyone, that's why everyone's like, when I was Salt was just my way of just being myself, being in my routine at the field. Like, it just got me into pitching mode,
Yeah.
And I just could not wait to see if this kid was going to do, whoever it was, if he was going to act the same the way when he was shoving, when he gave it up. And I think that tells a lot about people. I mean, they got to learn. I mean, you learn if you could turn the page, but sometimes you just got to tell them, man, the sun's going to come up tomorrow.
Yep.
Like,
that was totally.
You just got to get.
You see what they're made of right there, absolutely. And that's something that stuck with me is like how the game's easy when you're rolling, but when you have to deal with failure, I think we should touch on that next time. How we're going to deal with failure, how to deal with it, because it is essential to be able to have a career and to remain consistent. And so I guess in summary, it's just like, all right, preparation. What is your preparation? What is your routine? For me, visualization, like especially when we talked about a couple weeks ago with Joe, put you in those slots. I know what slots I'm going to pitch in. I'm visualizing each pitch I want to throw to each guy. I know their weakness, and I want to expose it. And so I'm picturing that in my head. The crowd's going nuts, feeling the game. All of a sudden, the adrenaline starts flowing. I'm ready to go. And then you just compete. Just let it happen, and whatever happens, happens. So.
And a good thing about, like, let's say Joe, for the pockets, you got to go watch video on how to already get these guys out and how you already got them out. Like, you're mentally prepared. I think that's why managers, like a good bullpen manager, is so important for a bullpen guy's success, reliever success, because Because you be like, oh, I hate when they don't want to let you know. If the phone rings and you don't know who it's going to be, like, you're not going to be a good bullpen, and you're definitely not going to be a successful reliever throughout the year. Like, nothing is worse to where everyone has a heart attack when the phone rings.
Exactly.
Like, when the phone rings, it's one or two guys, really. That should be it, especially in the winning situation. Everyone kind of knows when they're going to throw when it's losing. Everyone knows when we're winning, it's close, who it should be. Like, if it's going to be the seventh guy in the bullpen, and all of a sudden he's pitching in the eighth inning in a one-run game, like, everyone's like, what the heck is going on?
You got to give him a heads up. I agree. I hated being caught off guard with those. Where like you think you're kind of one of the guys, and all of a sudden you're pitching in a blowout. And I'm not complaining about pitching, but it's like I'm like, uh-oh. Like mentally, I didn't visualize. I didn't get ready like I normally do. I slacked and I got exposed by it. And sure enough, I go out there and get humbled fast. So
that happened to me in game 163. I mean, I was terrible when I got traded over there, so I wasn't even going to think I was going to pitch in the most important game of the year. And then no one wanted to tell me that CJ decided he didn't want to be available that day or something. I don't know what happened, but they said he wasn't available, and no one told me. And you had already pitched.
Cashed it on my runs.
And all of a sudden the phone rings. I'm like, I haven't moved. I haven't done nothing.
I know the truth.
I did zero, and I'm just laying there. All of a sudden they're like, Kinstrick. I'm like, what? Like, I'm the worst pitcher in the bullpen right now. Why am I coming in? I was totally caught off guard and unprepared. And I gave up. Was it your runs?
Yeah, I already given up. Dude, that at bat, I was facing Lorenzo Cain, and he had a great season. He's one of my favorite players to play against. He played hard, and
he was awesome.
And I handled him well, all season. And I was so amped up. It was day 3 of me pitching in a row, and I was just feeling it. But nothing was going to stop me from going in that game. And he ended up getting that RBI single to put the Brewers ahead. And it was like devastating. I used that as some motivation the whole offseason. Like when I was lifting everything, that scene, I just could not get it out of my head. I hated it. But hey, it happens, right? someone's either the bug and someone's the windshield.
That was a great at bat he had right there. I love that matchup right there because sinkers dominate him.
Yep, but he cheated. He knew it was coming.
He just happened to have a good at bat.
I knew what I wanted to throw. I was going to throw him my best pitch. He knew it was coming, and he got to it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to tip your cap to him. Great player,
Yeah. They brought me in to face Braun, and I don't know, my sinker was going everywhere because I was mentally a mess. That was a terrible time in my life. That's when we'll talk about dealing with failures because that was some dark
Absolutely.
time.
I'd love to talk about that. Well, bro.
That's episode 3. Thank you for listening, and send us some questions if you guys have any.